In this episode of our photography review show, we're gonna be looking at the photography websites. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of our photography review show. This week we're doing a little special where we're gonna be looking at the photography websites. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I can't wait for it. But for those who don't know me, my name is Jacob Bors. I'm a professional photographer based in the south of England, in West Sussex. And I've been photographing for many years. And for the last few years, I've been actually reviewing pictures of my colleagues and friends. And so we thought here at Clever Photographer that that's the same what we're gonna do for our community. And this week we put together something a little bit different. We got 6 websites of our photographers from our community, and we're gonna review them. And hopefully throughout the process you're gonna kind of understand and get what is trendy right now when it comes to photography websites and how they should look and what are some of the best practices. So it's gonna be lots of fun. Let's not wait any further and let's jump straight into it. And here we are, so it's time to look at the websites. We have 6 photographers to look at, but before we're gonna do that, I thought I'm gonna share 2 good examples of how the proper photography website should look. And the first one is from my very good friend and professional photographer Serge Ramelli, who does photography for many years. He is totally successful when it comes to photography. He actually released several books of his photos and made a movie, and he made and did the contracts with many businesses to which he sold his photos. So I think it's a good example of someone who is successful and example of how the website should look. So we're gonna look at him, and then we're also gonna have a look at the website of Scott Kelby, another huge personality when it comes to photography around the world. Scott's company Kelby One is one of the leading educating photography company on the world, and again, great example of how the photography should look. So when I click between them, we should start to get the basic idea on what we're looking for. We're looking for a first straight-on impact when you open the homepage with the clean design. White works much better now. It used to be kind of darker colors, but white is what's very trendy now. You can see both of them using similarly the white background. And then you're looking for the impact photo straight from the first visit. So the first thing you want to see is something what really going to catch your attention. And as you can see, the first picture on Scott's is this amazing landscape photo. Serge doesn't really have the first picture, but then he has kind of quite a big gallery as his home page, where you see all these photos together, and it works also very well. So either as a one impact photo which can be placed as a slideshow, or you can do similarly this kind of large gallery where you have several photos on the top which will just wow the visitor right away. So in both of the cases it's there. Then obviously they each having a few kind of galleries, generally divided based on your portfolio and based on what kind of photography you do. So in Serge's case, it's a landscape photography most of the time. He used to do lots of interior design and hotel photography, but he kind of stepped away from it now. But for him, he basically have it divided between countries and then one overall landscape album. So as you can see, he has a Paris here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, about 20-25 photos, all photographed during the kind of golden hour, few black and white ones. When you kind of scroll amongst them, except the black and white one, it really kind of have the same feel. It seems very kind of put together. There is nothing standing out. It kind of makes you right away understand the style of the photographer and what he's trying to say. Let's move to Italy. Similarly, when we look at the Italian capture, there will be again another something between 15 and 25 photos. And similarly, except the green Tuscany here, it's a similar look with the similar kind of feel. And again, going between 2 of the albums, you right away know the kind of signature look of the photographer. And similarly, when we go to USA, I'm sure we're going to find the same thing. So again, we're talking 15 to 25 photos with the similar look. Nice big gallery with the nice big examples. When you click on them, they open even more. And nice good sharp quality. So obviously, so you have your albums as a part of your portfolio, and then two more things which are really, really important is the about page, where you have to say who you are, where you base, what kind of photography you do, and if it's the case that you're doing it for money, that you want to sell prints, or you're a wedding photographer and you want to do wedding photos, it has to be said there. You can't imagine how many websites, photography websites I'm visiting, where you can find the about page, or the photographer doesn't really say what he wants you to do with the photos. And if that's the case, if you're just a hobbyist and this is just your gallery, it's fine, but there should be still a little bit of information about you, just like in a little gallery where you're visiting, and there will be 10 photos from you. You would want the viewer to know a little bit more about you. So the about page is really important there. And then the second most important thing is the contact page. You want the visitor to be able to contact you. You don't want him to be looking for some kind of email address and then copying and pasting it into his email provider or anything like that. You want a nice, clean contact page where you can just simply fill up name, email address, and then type the message. If I can give you a little suggestion, I would stay away from any of these kind of filling codes and making sure that you authentic visitor and so on. Try to stay away from it. Most likely, if the person got all the way to your website and then to your contact page, he wants to, he's interested in your work. It's not the kind of spam, and easier it is, more likely the person will contact you. So let's say I'm a person who wants to offer Serge another book. I want him to do photography book for me. I really don't want to be looking around the page for his email address. I just want to be able to go to his albums. Yes, I like the pictures. So then I jump into the contact, I fill up the contact form, send a message, and within few hours I get some kind of answer. So that is really, really important. So about page and contact page, after the photos, after the first impact, the two most important parts of the website. And when we move to the Scott Kelby site, you will see that we will just confirm exactly the same as we've seen on a search. So you can see the trend kind of happening. So we are on Scott Kelby's page, again, homepage with the impact photo, which can be done again two different ways, either really strong and great kind of gallery form or gallery kind of shape, or one impact photo with a kind of slideshow. So that's the case here. You can move between them, or they moved before by themselves. Then the portfolio. So Scott obviously covers more photography styles than Serge, but he still have it sorted nicely between different styles. So let's say we want to see his people photography. So then we go into his people album. And again, similarly to Serge, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4, around 24 pictures. So the golden rule is somewhere between 15 and 25. If you don't have 15 good pictures of that photography style, most likely you're not there yet to put it on your portfolio website. If you have more than 25, it's a living organism. Put on 25 and just keep updating it every time you get the new one where you feel like it's better than the one before. So just stick to it. It's really kind of golden rule used amongst lots of photographers and lots of people who buy photos. They don't want to see hundreds or thousands of photos in a kind of different quality. That what they want to see is 20, 25 pictures where they're just going to be wowed. And then if they need more, they will get in touch. And how they get in touch, they need a proper and strong contact form. Again, similar here, you see just name, email, and message. No kind of wandering around with kind of more information and so on, just confusing the viewer. Again, contact form like this also going to be much more easier to kind of display on a mobile phone rather than many different checks, which then may be going to be difficult to be shown or mobile phone. And again, really strong about, where he could just kind of talk about him, and then he sends you to Scott Kelby blog where he writes more about himself. So those are two great examples of people who make lots of money and have lots of experience from photography world. And we're gonna kind of take this and see how our photographers done, and if any of that apply to their website, and if not, how they can kind of move on from there. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. Our first website is from Popescu, and it's called Touch of Emotion, and it kind of open here. I have them all already, and I made few notes. And starting first of all, so it take about 3.95 seconds to load, which is perfectly fine, even though you have this nice big impact photo to start with. On Google, when I googled Marin Popescu photography or wedding photography, it showed me a website on the 9th place, which is quite low, to be honest. It's quite kind of, you have to scroll to find it, so that's a little bit of a shame, and it's something what you could see how you could kind of work on that. One thing which I think is something what you should definitely look at, and it's something what will kind of flag many antivirus programs, is the fact that your website is showing as not secure. And it's just up here, you can see it hopefully, and it basically say that your connection to this site is not secure and you should not enter any sensitive information on this site. So I think for this, it's something what you should see with your admin or anybody who done the website for you, or anybody who's hosting the website for you. I've seen it before. But for example, when I tried to open this website on my mobile phone, it didn't actually allow me to open it. So really something to start with, checking. It's really important that the visitor comes and he feels safe visiting your website, and you don't want to be having antiviruses flashing around and giving you the wrong message. So starting from the first page though, and talking about the design, as we talk when we were looking at Scott and Serge's website, right away there is this first impact photo, and in this case is the slideshow. So it really works here. It's nicely done. So it's very lovely. I can't kind of move between them, so that makes it just a little bit tricky. And it takes a little bit of time. However, it works. I'm quite happy with what it does, and the impact is there. When it comes to design, it's quite nice and clean. There is a nice text, nice combination of a text on the website and the actual logo. I think that's quite nicely done together. So that's lovely there. When it comes to structure, I will need to switch it to English. So let me just do that. And we have our homepage, which has the impact photo. Then we have a portfolio, something called photo books, wedding photography, partner, and contact. So let's have a look. Let's have a look inside of the portfolio. And obviously there are different albums, I assume. So when I click on them, it will open more photos. So we'll come back to that. So when it comes to structure, we have portfolio, then we have something called photo book. Photo book. So obviously this is something what you probably selling or do for your customers. There are some pictures of it, so that's fine. Then there is a wedding photography button. And when I click on that, let's see if something opens. Yep, so we get into something what looks a little bit like a blog. So you click on the actual heading and it opens a little bit more information about wedding photography and so on. That is quite good for your SEO. People, when they search for these terms, they will be able to come to this and then maybe find you. So nothing wrong with that. Partner, there is some probably people who kind of partner with you or sponsor you or give you some kind of deals. Okay, then we go into contact. And this is where I would suggest you to kind of go back to when I was talking about Serge and Scott's website, because this is the example where I was saying for somebody who wants to contact you and who wants to work with you, it's much easier if you would have some kind of contact form here where you can just fill up the information and click send, rather than going in and trying to copy and paste the email into your own email, and it's just kind of lots of hassle. And especially it's difficult when you're trying to do it on a mobile phone, because obviously here on the desktop you can kind of add new tabs. On mobile phone it's a little bit more trickier. So that's the first thing I would be looking for. That would be the contact form. The second thing I don't see here is about page. So when I visit this page and I just saw your picture, let's say on your Instagram post, and I don't know nothing about you, I wouldn't know who are you, where do you take pictures, how I can contact, know where you base. Is it even interesting for me to get in touch with you? Because if you're going to be on the other side of, in your case, Romania, for example, maybe it's not interesting for me. So I think that's one thing which is really missing here. And if it's there, maybe I just missed it because of the translation. So I'm sorry for that. But I think there should totally be like a contact page and next to it the about page. So those are the two feedbacks for the contact page. For the contact page, I would be looking at the possibility of making a little form where people can just fill up the form and press send. For the about page, definitely information about you. Again, same thing. Where you based? What's your name? What kind of photography you're doing? And what kind of service you're providing as a photographer. So already you have the photo books there that can be in the about page as well, and that's how I would kind of run it. Let's have a look at how the website would look on a mobile phone. So that's done quite easily through here. And so this would be the kind of mobile phone view. And sometimes it's quite interesting to see how the website looks when you look at it on a mobile phone. And you see it kind of right away crashes. So then when I go back to the home page, it doesn't look as pretty as it look on a desktop. You can see it has some kind of little icons here, and when I try to stick between, it kind of still work, but it's not as pretty, and maybe something to look at when you're gonna be kind of talking to your website administrator or somebody who does it for you. Otherwise, if I go to portfolio, it looks quite alright. The web buttons are here and the pictures are nice sized. So it's quite fine. Okay, cool. Let's move back. Let's close this and let's look at your portfolio. So the rule is simple albums showing either what style of photography you do or what service you're providing, and then 15 to 20 of best of your photos. So let's start with the save date, for example. Obviously, it's probably something like a pictures from the date or like people being together. And the first thing comes is that there is way too many photos. Again, we're talking about 15 to 20 of your best pictures. And another thing which is quite beneficial if you're able to do it is to keep the similar style together. So when I'm looking at the 15 to 25 pictures, I have a simple idea of what kind of style of photography you're doing. So let's say I would try to avoid these kind of monotone and black and white photos, or I would have them in another album. So let's say I would have save the date, black and white vintage look, and I would have 25 pictures of black and white captures, and then I would have a similar thing in color and have a 25 best pictures in it. Not because it's wrong to put them together from out of the point of us as a photographers, it's just the human brain works in a way of looking for a certain style, and they want to get comfortable with what you're showing them. So just as a hint, that is something what I would do. And then moving on to weddings, another kind of album just as an example. And when it opens, again, similarly, there is lots of photos, which just, you know, I understand that you're trying to show everything you can do, but it just gets very overwhelmed. You can easily have a 25 photos there. Again, maybe one for black and white, one for color, or you could even make an album saying before the ceremony, during the ceremony, and after the ceremony, or something like this, just to make it easier for the viewer to actually go ahead and see what you can provide, you know, rather than going through and scrolling through hundreds of photos. Maybe go through these smaller albums. There's nothing wrong about having 5, 6, 7 albums named after the time of the wedding, what was actually happening, like prior to the wedding, after the wedding, during the wedding, rather than having this wedding and having lots of photos. So I hope you understand what I mean. Let's have a look at the quality of the photos. I think there is absolutely nothing wrong. They're nice and clean. It works. Today, just to make sure that you understand, I'm not judging the quality of your photography or anything. I'm just looking at how are they showing for your viewers on a website. And I think there is nothing wrong there. So well done on that. They are in quite good quality. It's quite nice that they become and they are popped into this black box, so you kind of don't get distracted by everything else around it. So in overall, well done. One thing I would start by is looking at this not secure message. And again, as I say, it didn't even allow me open the website on my mobile phone. So really something to look at. Start from there and then maybe look at the contact and about page and move from there. So thank you very much. And we're moving into the next photographer. So the next photography website we're going to be looking at belongs to John Quin. And here we are, John. So from what I'm looking at and understanding, this is more as a kind of portfolio web, as a kind of album, and somewhere where people go and see lots of your photos, because it's stored at this P-base, which I never seen before. I had a kind of look around and it's quite interesting. It obviously stores and is able to store lots of photos. So it's quite interesting to see it. However, for the purpose of this photography website review, we're going to use the same trends, because obviously it still apply. The idea is still same, that I am someone who is interested in your work and I want to come and visit. get an idea of what you're doing, and then hopefully either buy something from you or get in touch with you or buy and get some of your services. So that's the purpose. I'm not saying don't take anything the wrong way or just out of the context. It's just I set the rules on the beginning of what we're going to try to do, and this is how I'm going to judge it. So obviously we are at the website, and your website loads in 0.9 seconds, which is brilliant. Obviously it loads like this on mobile as well as desktop. That's quite brilliant. On Google, you show on a 4th place. So your website, when I Google your John Quin photography, you show on a 4th place. So I think that is very, very good as well. And then let's have a look at the design and structure. Well, obviously, because it's some kind of portfolio-based website which hosts all your photos, it has a kind of limited possibilities of what you can probably change. One thing, as I mentioned during the previous review and when I was looking at the other websites, is that white is the color now to go for. We're looking for a clean kind of finish. Black and darker colors used to be really trendy, but now it all turning to the white. So that's one thing to look at. The font is quite interesting. The only thing is that obviously it's some kind of courier, or I'm not sure, it's kind of like a painted font, and it doesn't really match the heading of the website or the host, and it's just design wise it's a little bit confusing, but nothing more than that there. Moving on the mobile view, so let's have a look if we turn it into inspect and see how it actually shows on the mobile phone. And it shows quite clearly. Obviously the pictures are a little bit smaller, and so is the text. So if I'm a little bit older, I wonder how difficult would it be for me to see the website. And there is lots of it, but it's still quite nice and clean, so I wouldn't worry too much about the mobile view. I think it's working quite nicely there. Now, moving on, about page. So what was quite interesting, because I kind of had a look through your pictures and I really like some of them. I was wondering and I was interested in you as a photographer, and I couldn't actually find much here on this your website. There is no about page. There is something like profile, and when I click on it, it just shows me that you are from Canada and how many pictures you have, but it doesn't tell me anything about you. And then I went and Googled you, and I found this Flickr where actually it talks about you. It says that after a break of almost 20 years, you got back into the photography, and that is really interesting story, you know. It's really interesting to see and know that about you, and I think that's something what you should be looking at putting into your website, because it's quite nice and interesting information, you know. Again, we playing this kind of whole review based on I'm somebody who saw your work somewhere, like it, and now I'm looking more to find out more about you. So obviously I'm gonna go to your website, and here I can't find really more about you, or I don't see it somewhere. Maybe I'm not looking at the right place. Second thing was the contact form or contact page. Similarly here, I haven't really found a way how I could contact you. I know that there is this guest book, like a form, which is not the worst. I think it's all right. The only thing is that I'm assuming that if I fill it up, it will show for everyone else. And I think that's a little bit of a shame. If I'm interested in your prints, or if I'm interested in your work or collaboration, I wouldn't want it to show for other people here. So just something maybe to think about and see if you could maybe add a little contact form there. So that would be easier for people to contact you. Let's see if it's inside of the profile, some kind of email for you. Or no, it isn't. I really haven't found anything there. Anyway, moving on to actual photos, and if I go back to the profile, I can see that you have 161 galleries and 12,080 images, if I'm right. And to be honest, when I go through your galleries, it looks like that. There's incredible amount of work here, and I admire your persistence and photography, and I was even just thinking about being able to upload that many photos. Must have been incredible work. So well done on that. Although you understand how coming back to the trends and what's trendy and what's kind of what people now looking at, this would be way too much. Again, I will just repeat for what is now kind of popular, and it's to have a 5 to 10 galleries or 5 to 10 albums of your best kind of style and work, and then inside each of the gallery and album having 15 to 25 photos, the best of your best, something what people come and look at and say, "Wow, absolutely love this." But maybe this is not the kind of website, so it's not the end of the day. I'm just trying to tell you and show you where the kind of thoughts going when I see all of this. Looking at the pictures, so let's say these portraits, and if I click on one, I'm gonna tell you, I think one thing which is a shame, because you have a lovely photos, are those brown frames around it. I'm not really sure why they're there. I think they take a touch away from your photo, because on quite lots of photos, they are much brighter than the photo itself. And human eye automatically looks at the brightest point on the screen on the photo. So quite often my attention went away back to the bright frame, and then I went to the actual photo. So I think it takes attention and a little bit of love away from your photo. So I don't know if the frame has to be there really. And quite often you have like this really green and colorful and saturated picture, and the frame doesn't really fit the saturation or the colors of the photo. So I don't think it has to be there. I mean, 12,000 photos, some of them are brilliant, some of them are a little bit noisy, but again, this is not to review the photography. I think you have some incredible photos there. I think they're lovely. It's just the structure based on the kind of guide I'm trying to give is a little bit, it's a lot. When I look at the actual Flickr, that's so much easier for me. When I look at it, it's so much easier for me by looking at this to judge your style and your skills compared to looking at this, because I would have to go through so many photos and it would be a little bit of a challenge. When we talk about some kind of shopping or booking, I wonder if you sell any of the photos. I think you totally should. I think some of them are really interesting, but again, there is no kind of link or any kind of shopping link or page or anything where you can say, if you like this photo, make sure you contact me and I can sell it to you as a print or anything like that. It's just something you may be missing on, because with some of the pictures, I think you could do really, really well. Either way, I really hope that this was helpful. I think if anything, I would try to see if you can add some information about you and maybe some kind of contact form where the people don't have to post it on the guest book. And in any way, thank you so much for joining us for this. It was a pleasure to review your website. And the next photography website is from Vanessa Barzoukas, and thank you so much for sending it over to us. I love pet photography. It's one of my favorite. Personally, I do landscape, but I think pet photography is really, really cute, and it's something what's so popular now. So thank you for joining us and sending your website over. So anyway, from the numbers, your website loads in 1.94 seconds, which is brilliant. And when I kind of try to Google your work, you were popping in on 7th spot on Google, which is nice, but you have to scroll a little to see it. So if you have a moment, or if you can maybe go into your Facebook and Instagram and make sure you put the website there so it kind of climbs slowly up to the ladder, it will help you. Looking at the design, I understand that this was maybe made by the Adobe portfolio, but maybe I'm wrong. That's the way it looks to me based on the design. I'm wondering why there is this kind of huge white square here, but then when I switch to the mobile phone view, it kind of makes a sense a little bit more, so I kind of understand that. From the structure, let's have a look at it. So we have the kind of home page, and it's funny because when I click on a home page, it keeps bringing me to the about page rather than to the actual home page. So for me to go back to the page where I was, I have to scroll down and then click on go to home page, which is a little bit strange when it comes to the structure. I'm not sure why it does that, but maybe it's something to do with the Adobe portfolio. But either way, the kind of color, the brownish, it's your choice. I think it would be perfectly fine if you would stay with white. Again, white and brighter colors are trendy right now and been for over 2-3 years now, because everything is much more cleaner, and our main idea and main kind of goal when it comes to website is to get the attention of the viewer at our photos. We don't want them to get distracted by other colors, and when we go outside of these kind of brighter colors like white, quite often the attention is taken away. So I hope that's helpful. Then what we have here, so we have the welcome to my new portfolio webpage, which as far as I know brings you to the about page. Then we have about the photo shoots, where there is kind of information about photo shoots with some kind of prices, which is really cool. with the dogs at the bottom. Then we have a contact page, and that is really cool. And then we have your work. So if I click on work, it will bring me to the home page, as I can see. And then we have a huge long list of albums, and it ends up with the Facebook icon here. So when it comes to structure, I think it's nice and clear. It's just a bit confusing how it kind of keeps moving around. So when I click on the welcome to my, it brings me to the about page, and then I have to scroll, go to the home page, and then there is the photo shoots and the contacts. And I don't know how the links exactly working, but generally in a normal world, when I click on portfolio or when I click on the kind of logo, it should bring me to the homepage rather than about me, and then you should have a single about me contact. So what I would have here, I would have a about me or about Vanessa or something like that. Under it, contact, and under it, about photo shoots. So you go about me, contact, and about photo shoots. And then we can go into the work, and then obviously we look at that in a moment. Looking at the mobile view, let's see if we can have the mobile view here. It was somewhere developer and inspect elements, which will give us a mobile view. And this is where I kind of understood why you have this white frame up here. So when I kind of open it on a mobile, it gives me the frame with your Facebook and then the little arrow, and I can go through the different albums. So that is quite nicely done, and actually I can imagine that it looks quite cool on mobile phone. So well done on that. So let's go back and let's move about page and contact we talk about. So let's talk about the photos. So it's interesting because you started the right way, looking at the kind of albums. You have your landscape photography, macro photography, natural phenomena, my own creation, and then suddenly somewhere here you kind of switch to the actual photo shoots. So I'm wondering if it's because maybe that's what photo shoot for someone, so this is the way you kind of shared it with them, or what is the reason why you went from the correct way, which was kind of, let's say, pet photography, or in your case it could be divided by the kind of dogs or the environment. So let's say pet photography in wild, pet photography at home, puppies. When you went to this very personal kind of dates and everything, I think it's a little bit confusing and it doesn't look that professional. I would be more looking for these kind of more overall albums, like, as I say, pets photography or puppies photography, and then have these lovely puppies in it, and then maybe based on the kind of, you can be really creative with it. But I think this, if I never heard about you and coming in, I'm not really interested about when it was done and what's the name of the dog and then scrolling through them. I'm more interested in, okay, dog photography, this is what I do. Puppy photography, this is what I do. Just as a hint, something to kind of look at. When it comes to quality of the photos, I think they're really cool. I think they nice, sharp. They showing quite nicely as well. And it all works for me. I think one thing which is a little bit of a shame is the watermark. I understand why you're putting it, but if there is a way to maybe make it smaller or something to work on, again, like I always say, in this case, you have this kind of lovely photos and they are captured in a nature. And like this, you done it here, you done it right here, because the watermark is black and it doesn't take any attention away. But in the pictures we were just looking at, it's white. And again, human eye get attracted by the most brightest part of the photo, and in this case it's the white watermark where my eyes goes. And it's a shame because you have a lovely photos and you don't want to take the attention away from your photos into the watermark. The watermark is there to protect your photo, but it shouldn't be the main first impression you give to the viewers. So just something like that. But otherwise the photos are lovely. Just look out for some of the compressions, because some of them looks a little bit out of focus, and I think it's based on the actual size it was uploaded. But otherwise, yeah, well done, and thank you so much. Looking at the shopping or booking page there, I think you have the about the photo shoots, which is quite nicely done. I think it's simple, straightforward. I think people can easily find out how much it costs to take to have you take pictures of their dogs or kids or whatever. I think, again, one thing I would have here at the bottom, if it's possible, either some kind of link to contact me or another form here, just so people don't even need to leave this page. I'm looking at the page, I'm looking at the mini shoot, I like it. Straight away, I can click my name, email, what I want from you, and enter, just as a hint. So, Vanessa, thank you so much. Well done. I'm sure you put lots of love into your photo, and your photos are great. So we can't wait to see more from you in upcoming weeks. And in the meantime, take care. And it's time for website number 4, and this time from Jack Moskovita. And here we are at the website with this stunning sunset. So beautiful colors. Well done on the Jack. And so what are we looking at again? Jack's website loads in 4.28 seconds, which is perfectly fine and good speed for both mobile and desktop website. And what's quite interesting is that Jack website is the only one from all the websites we got which is showing as a number 1 on Google. So if you go into the Google and Google Jack Moskovita photography, the first page, the first link which shows is his website. So well done on there and good job with that. Looking at the design, so popping in, it's kind of older design a little bit. The format is something what was really popular a few years back, these kind of gray boxes and really easy to navigate, but it's perfectly fine. I think, to be honest, when it comes to myself, I would have probably just preferred this to be white and clean. Again, not to take attention away from my main photo right on the beginning, which is my kind of centerpiece, because as I will show you in a second, it starts to get a little bit overwhelming when you're looking at it at the big screen. But okay, we have our master centerpiece here, we have some galleries and more galleries here. When it comes to design, again, yeah, as I just mentioned, a nice, impressive first photo, and then some kind of albums. Structure wise, I'm a little bit confused here because you can click on bold eagles here, and that will bring me into this kind of slideshow gallery where I can move between the photos. So that works quite well. And then when I go back, let's see if it works just like this. Yep. And I click on bold eagles here, which is kind of same thing, and I click on it, it keeps moving here. And so you have a kind of gallery on the first page and then gallery on the gallery on itself. So I'm not sure what's the idea there, but it works, both of them. When it comes to design, just to kind of show you, and this is what I meant when it gets a bit overwhelming. When I look at like these birds pictures, for example, and something right here, my eyes finding almost difficult to actually focus on the photo because there is so much space of this blur photo around it that it's getting a little bit overwhelming. Don't take it the wrong way. I understand why it's there, and I think the effect looks cool, but it's almost painful to look at them because, yeah, I don't know why. I think something must be with the blur and with the size of the photo around it. So something to look at, maybe to be removed. I much prefer to look at your photos inside of the actual galleries where I can slide between and look at them that way, even though they don't have the thumbnails like they do there. So that's something when it comes to the structure. When we come and look at the mobile view, if we just kind of switch between, that's when maybe these links start to make more sense, because if I click here on maybe like picture like this, I can see, but then I can't see, or it's a bit difficult to slide between. And again, it's much more easier to go inside of like a wildlife here and then just move between right here. So it's a kind of mixture of two different designs, both maybe for different idea, but I prefer to go inside of the albums and being able to slide between there compared to this kind of big background which keeps changing. Then moving on, about page. So let's click on about, and everything is here. Lovely information. Obviously you're from Washington and there is a story about you, or you talk about prints and images being able to purchase in many formats. So that's great. So everything is covered here and I think that's well done. What I'm missing is a contact page. And I think I understand that in about page you have little email thing here and phone number or text. I understand also due to your hearing disabilities, but I think the contact page again would make it so much easier for everybody to contact you. Nothing wrong about having a little contact page here which brings you on a similar page to your about, and just have a contact form there where you can send a message, add a name, email, phone number, and send it forward to you, and something just to make it easier for whoever is interested in your work. So about page is there and it's well done. Contact page is missing, and I think based on the quality of the photos you have, it's a shame because even more people could get in touch with you. Moving on to photos itself. So I think this is a great example of how it should be done. You have obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main categories. Each of the category has about 20 of between 15 and 25 pictures. So that's well done, and that's exactly how the structure should be. When I look at here, I think let's have a look at it at the actual page here. Yeah, the quality seems to be fine. There are some which seems to be just a touch of you know, when you kind of process the pictures, when you move them to JPEG and so on, they lose a little bit of a quality, and some of them seems like they lost a little bit of the quality, like this one here. Almost when I look at it, it kind of lost the sharpness, so the compression wasn't really great here, and it's something to keep an eye on because those are stunning pictures and you want to show them in the best possible quality. So just maybe something to look at and see if you can maybe upload them in a better quality. But they are lovely photos, and I think the amounts and the structure of the photos works really well, so well done on there. And shopping and booking tab, you don't need to necessarily have it here for this kind of photography, although it would be lovely if the people could just click and maybe choose a picture they like and have it printed by you. But I would start with the contact page because I think that would be really important and something what will help for you to get more sales or more people being in touch with you. So I hope this was helpful, Jack. Well done on your photography. The website isn't bad at all. It's just few things I would be looking into, make it maybe a little bit clearer and cleaner. So thank you and take care. And here we are in the world of Southern Lens photography. So this website actually belongs to Stevie Brooks, and right away we're gonna start with the same as with the other websites. So Stevie's website loads in 1.48 seconds, which is perfect and nothing to add there. It's nice and easy to show on desktop as well as mobile phone. And when it comes to Google, Stevie Brooks is very unfortunate, as he's one of those photographers who share a name which is quite popular among photographers. So when I try to search your website on Google, I found that there are another 2 or 3 similarly active photographers. So your website actually showed on the second page of the Google search on a 5th spot. So that's something to really look at and see if you can maybe push on. But I understand that sometimes with a name like that, when there are many other photographers, it can be a little bit tricky. Moving on to the actual design. Well, this is what I've been talking about. Yep, great white clean design with a lovely color of the text and the font. So it's nice and clean. I really like that. First, right away, there is an impact picture on the top. I don't know if the text really have to be there. Maybe I would have it as a subtitle right here, because it just takes away a little bit of the magic of the first picture. So the beauty, you could have Southern Lens photography, the beauty of nature, and then have this main photo. But as a design-wise, this really works very well. And then you scroll down and there is little future photography galleries and a little bit about you, and it just works. So well done on that there. When it comes to structure, so we have the home, then we have a blog, galleries, then we have get in touch, which I would understand it's something like a contact form, yeah. And then we have newest images, which I would be quite interesting how it works, but maybe it's done automatically. Then we have a photography tips and photography help coming soon to this page. Just as a hint, Stevie, I think try to stay away to have pages there which are not done yet. I think too many photographers is doing that, you know, it's coming soon, and then it's been several months and it's not done and it just doesn't look professional. If it's not done yet, take it away, and then when it's ready, bring it on. I understand the idea that you maybe hope that because it's there, it's gonna push you to do it, but if it's not ready, take it away, because it just looks like a little bit unprofessional. It's like you buy a new car and you want to click and use their GPS or the car navigational system, and it just tells you it's coming soon. You wouldn't be happy as well, right? Well, why did they put it there? Maybe it's not there. So similarly here, just take it away, I think, for now. Favorite sites to visit is actually quite nice idea, and I understand that it's something what it's quite nice to do, and well done on that. So nothing wrong with that. But right away, the one thing which is missing, and I'm sure you know, it's the about page. I looked around, and I can't find nothing about you. I can't find where you base, or actually here, that it says South Carolina photographer, but I can't find who you really are, how long you been photographing, what kind of photography, do you offer any services, or anything like that, and it's just kind of missing there. So let's have a look at your website on a mobile phone. So let's see how it would look. And we are right here. And it doesn't look bad at all. It's nice and clean. The menu is nice and clean. I think the main picture got really squished. And I think that's the kind of unfortunate thing when you use the big landscape photo and when the coding isn't done 100% right, it kind of squish it. What you would really want is to take the photo and kind of zoom it in so it would be smaller, but it would still be there, if you know what I mean. The rest of it works very well and it still look clean, so well done on that, and I think you don't have to really do much. Maybe just see somebody if they could actually, rather than just cutting the middle part of the photo on your mobile phone, if it would just squish in. So that's just something to think of. Get in touch or contact page is here. Let's have a look at it. So here you just put your name, email address, then a message and security text. We always suggest to take the security text away, any kind of coding and are you a robot. Obviously that's something what works for the big companies who have a lot of spamming and junk coming through. I don't know about you, but I don't get much, and it's just we constantly trying to make it easier for the customer to get in touch with us or anybody who wants. But already the form is quite nicely done. If it has to be there, and as long as it works, it's all good. But the second thing, I think what really missing here is about page, who you are, where you based, what style of photography you're doing, and if you offer any service or if you sell any of your photos. Maybe it's somewhere in the blog, I haven't found it, and I really shouldn't have to look for it so much, because it should be just really easily accessible. When it comes to your photos and your galleries, your photos are great. Let's have a look. Let's open the first one. And similarly to what I probably said on almost every website, the norm or the suggestion when it comes to professional photography website is 5 to 10 galleries, 5 to 10 albums, which in your case works quite all right. But inside each of the album, 15 to 25 photos max. If you don't have more than 15 photos for the gallery, you most likely haven't really covered that subject or that element enough for you to be displaying on the website. If you have more than 25, just constantly keep it and treat it as a living thing, as something what's constantly updated. Anytime you take better photo, make sure you go back and replace it. It's not easy. Myself, I take around 20,000 photos a year. How am I gonna take the 25 photos? But I have a little folder which I have in my Lightroom, and I keep adding photos, and then I keep coming back once a month. I go back, upload them, and just kind of keep playing around with it. And actually, once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun, and it keeps you kind of in focus, seeing, oh, I did really well this month, or I didn't do, and so on. So it's a good fun, and that's something to look at. Otherwise, when I open the pictures, they open nice and big, which I really like. They are good quality. Let's see if I can move around. You can move around with the arrows. Lovely captures. I'm a bit confused because some of your pictures have the watermark tags, some don't. Personally, I don't put watermarks. I just make the quality of the pictures just be good enough for the website. So anyway, if somebody wants to use them, they will be low quality and it's not worth it. They can't sell them or print them anyway. But if you want to keep them, then I would suggest just to keep them on all the photos. Like here, you don't have it. So just the consistency is really a key here. But otherwise, it's nicely done. I like how the pictures are big and clear and sharp. So well done on that. Let's see if I can just go back. How would I do that? With this little cross, I guess. Yep. And then finally, looking at the shopping and booking site, obviously, there isn't really much said about if people can buy the pictures from you. So there should be something saying again in the about page about how they can do that and how they can get the photos from you. And in overall, I would be quite interested to see if you actually do this as a hobby or if you do it as a professional and if you sell any of your photos. So just a few things to kind of help you out. I hope it was helpful. I hope that it helps you to move a little bit forward. And if you have any photos you would like to share with us, make sure you send them to our next week's episode of the photography review show, because we would love to look at them. Thank you very much, and I hope to speak to you and see you next time. And here we are with the final website. This one belongs to Jack, and Jack was actually our photographer of the week a few weeks back with his incredible birds photos, and I was really happy to see his website being enlisted inside of this show, because I think it's a one where we can really see how things can be done nice and easy and put together. So Jack, starting from the first thing first, your website takes about 2.59 seconds to load, which with the amount of pictures on it is perfectly fine. When I googled your name with the photography, your website came on the 5th place. So you have to do a little bit of scrolling, but I think that's perfectly fine. And then let's move straight away into the design. So if you remember when I was showing you Serge Ramelli's website, very similar design, super nice, clean and clear. White background, which works really well, bringing all the attention into your photos, and then kind of slideshow made in a square shape with the impact pictures sliding in between, showing what actually Jack captures and what is his photography style. So that works really well. I like that. I really like the font as well. One thing which I think is a little bit of shame, but that would be just really going into the details, is the fact that your font is nice and clean, and then your actual logo using kind of different kind of font. There is like a big difference between two of them, and also your font, I think, using a little bit different black than the color of your font, but it's a littlest thing. It's just something to kind of maybe look on. And if we want to be too details, I would also look at see if you could maybe somehow change your like the icon of the website, so when I am adding a new tabs, I can easily just find you. I wonder where you made your website, but it's just something maybe to look at. But then let's have a look at the structure. So really nice and clean homepage, followed by different albums based on what kind of style of photography Jack does. So garden flowers, really lovely, flowers on the black, flowers on the white, then birds, New York City, Jersey Shore. Then we go into the prints. So obviously we're talking about some selling, book, blog, about, contact, and some social media. So the structure works again very well. The usual, you have your home, albums, about, contact, and then some of the business. So let's move and let's have a look at the mobile phone view. So let's go back to home and let's have a look if we could actually open it in a mobile phone view. So we can from here, and we look in, this is your home page, depending on the mobile phone size. Sometimes, as you know yourself, shame with the kind of square crop, because you can't really then affect where the square is gonna show. So the rest of the page looking a little bit empty, but it's not a big deal. Obviously you have your kind of navigation panel here, which is nice and clean, and you can kind of move between, so not big deal. And then when I go into the actual gallery, it's looking great, it's clean, nicely sorted and done well. So let's not worry about the mobile phone, and let's jump straight into the actual website here. So let's talk about the about page. So when I go to about, really nicely done, picture of the photographer, my story, my hobbies, my gear, how I do what I do, really nicely clean and clear, perfectly fine there. Let's move to the contact page. Again, what we kind of try to suggest and what's trendy now, just a name, email address, message, and send message. Nice and easy, no need to add anything else, and it's all there. So let's move from there and let's talk about the photos. So we already know that Jack can make and get incredible photos. The flowers are absolutely stunning, so the gallery is looking great. Lovely kind of shape of the gallery, how it's kind of done, it's just popping out. You can clearly see your photography style there and all the colors, and it's great. Flowers on black, also nicely done. The pictures are great and sharp. When they open in full, it also looks very good. I also like that the Jack doesn't use a watermark on them, so obviously the full attention going straight into the photo, and it's not taken away with other elements. Let's have a look. Flowers on white. This was one where I got stopped for a moment, because I think this picture doesn't belong here. I think this should be garden flowers, because obviously it's not on white, but it's just a little detail. And then moving on the birds, also again stunning captures of the birds, little bit more kind of wider look and kind of style of the photos of the birds, but still works very well. And then some stunning New York City captures. So very well done on there. I don't think I can add anything to the actual photos. I think it's nicely done and it's looking very professional and well done there. And finally, talking about shopping and booking. So when it comes to prints, I'm going to be honest with you, Jack. I think this is very advanced, the form. I think if I would be somebody who wants to buy a print from you, I would either expect the fact that I can maybe come here and click on the photo and then be able to order it, or just a little bit simpler form. I think to fill this all in, like for example, for somebody who is asking to get a photo from you, do you really need the address in the first step? I'm just thinking, I love the photo, I want to order it, I'm going to prints, and then I look at the form and I'm thinking, oh, that will take me forever to fill it up. I'll do it later, and then I'll never come back. Where if there would be just a name, email address, maybe at least like a country, and then photo, and I'm not sure about the question of comments or how did you hear about us. I think you can do that a little later in the next kind of form, and then maybe have a submit and just have it send it to you, so you know the person is interested in your photo, he's interested in this kind, and then you can go back and ask for the address and where they hear about you and stuff like that, just to make it easier. Again, we're talking about somebody, you know, the kind of concentration focus span of 10-15 seconds, where we don't want to overwhelm them with too many things to fill in, and then you know how it goes. It's time for dinner or it's time to go sleep and we never come back. So it's just a hint and something maybe I would be looking at doing differently. But in overall, Jack, thank you so much. I think your website is stunning. It's really well done. And again, as I told you before, I love your photos. And finally, I'm going to touch on something in the blog here. I wanted to mention, I really love your photo shoot from the 9/11 kind of memorial, which was done. I think the blog is great and the photos are stunning. So well done on that, and thank you again for joining us. Guys, and just as a reminder, for next week, we are back to our usual. We're going to be reviewing your photos. So if you have a time, make sure you head to our website, cleverphotographer.com, scroll all the way down, and there find the link on where you can upload and send your photos. Or even better, make sure you sign up there to our newsletter and get all the reminders for this show, and making sure that you can get the feedback on your photos and keep moving forward as a part of the Clever Photographer community.